This podcast helps resilient entrepreneurs thrive with Shopify. And now on to episode 222.
You're listening to eCommerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder, and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
This episode is brought to you by .digital, a customer engagement platform that's been innovating for over 20 years, helping digital marketers and developers deliver communications across the customer journey. Now, .digital grew from a pub in the UK to a global organization with over 350 employees, serving 4,000 customers that span industries from e-commerce all the way through to not-for-profit. If you need to engage smarter, convert faster, and deliver big, .digital is with you every step of the way. And they're just getting started, from transactional emails to SMS campaigns, segment analytics to communication APIs. .digital is at the forefront of customer engagement. Learn more about their incredible solution, why they're part of the Shopify Plus certified app program. Get all the details today at .digital.com. Well, hey there, it's Steve, and welcome back to the eCommerce Fastlane podcast. Now, if this is your first time listening, this is an e-commerce show where we have honest and transparent conversations about building and thriving with your store powered by Shopify or Shopify Plus. If you're an ambitious lifelong learner, which you probably are because you're here today, you're definitely in the right place. Now, new episodes are available twice weekly with your favorite podcast players like Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and many more. You can also stream current episodes, including a very relevant back catalog, directly from ecommercefastlane.com. A lot of great partners in the Shopify ecosystem. They're really solving some very unique problems and challenges and some great offers and things on those landing pages. So go check it out, ecommercefastlane.com. Now, in today's episode, my guest is Roy Avidor, who's the CEO and co-founder of a company called Cymbio, and it's CYM.bio. And what they are is a marketplace and a dropship automation platform, and they help brands to accelerate their digital sales channels. It's really interesting. So as a Shopify brand, you get access to hundreds of retailers, and you get to scale your brand with the Cymbio platform. So let's jump in and learn more. Hi, Roy. Welcome to eCommerce Fastlane.
Hi, Steve. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. You know, what's interesting about what you do in your platform, and I'm going to dig into it in a minute here, but I have a lot of brands that say, hey, you know what, to expand our revenue, they usually expand in their product mix. So if they're in a certain vertical and they want to add accessories, they want to add certain things, or just want to expand it, and that's how they're growing their revenue. But they also know there's opportunity in getting out into marketplaces, you know, just being the Amazons and the Walmarts of the world and kind of Target and getting out there. But then there's also other opportunities out there with retailers who actually have marketplaces also. But that tends to be challenging for a lot of brands. They may see the benefits, or maybe they haven't exhausted those resources yet. They're trying to figure out what to do. And when I heard about what Cymbio is doing, and a lot of these amazing Shopify brands have made the decision to use your platform. So I had to have you on today because I think, like I said at the top of the show, there's still enough time based on when this is being released that people can still get involved and can still get their products out and just cast a wider net of discovery. So maybe you can just share maybe just high level first about like what does the Cymbio platform do and what sort of problems have you seen that it's now solving for Shopify brands?
Sure, happy to, Steve. So as you've mentioned probably better than I will, Cymbio is a dropship and marketplace automation platform. We work with brands, Shopify merchants, and connect them to the outside world of retailers and marketplaces. The way we work with Shopify is basically a few minutes of connection, and from there, the brand can choose to start working with any retailer and any marketplace they want to work with and sell through.
And the nice thing about that, though, is you have opportunities and connections to, there's some I've never even heard of before, and some mainstream ones that I had no idea they even had marketplaces as part of their opportunity. So it's pretty amazing. So I think we're going to learn a lot today that this really, truly does cast a wider net. And I really think it's going to help brands grow and scale. So let's chat a little bit about your journey, because I'm always fascinated about why people build what they build. And so are you able to talk about your journey a bit, kind of leading up to the launch of Cymbio? And I guess the other part I think is interesting is like what uniquely positions you and the founding team on a couple points. Number one, to have the desire to build this platform. And then where do the expertise, the brain power come from building this whole thing?
Definitely happy to talk about that. So personally, I come from a family with retail and wholesale business. So I was basically born into the retail industry and found myself as a 12-year-old walking at the shows in Vegas, Atlanta, etc. And when I met my co-founders, Moore and Gilad, who are coming more from the tech world, the software world, we knew that commerce is changing. It was somewhere in 2015. And we realized that Amazon is dominating the market, and eventually new players will rise, and the current or more enterprise retailers will have to fight back and start their own programs and their own marketplaces. And we wanted to be there once this is happening. And the core thing about our approach to this market and to dropshipping marketplaces in general is the fact that from day one, we looked at the brands and not the retailers. We built a platform for the seller, for basically call it the Shopify merchant, the Shopify entrepreneur, to enable them to connect with any retail partner they want to work with. And this is what we set out to do. And we're happy to support Shopify merchants today. Hundreds of them.
I know I see Steve Madden as kind of a big premier kind of plus brand, and there's quite a few others that I know have made the choice. And it's so interesting because in this space, sometimes there's other, notable kind of connections and data connectors. I want to get into that one in a minute here about why it's different, because I know Shopify does have different sort of like sales channel apps and things that are available to directly connect to these associated channels. But it's interesting that you're kind of an all-in-one platform you can actually grow into as you continue want to grow your reach. You just choose to add on a new partner or a new retailer, and you're syncing everything all over, and boom, just works. And then you're using the power of their network to help for discovery on those platforms. I think it's pretty exciting. So let's pivot a bit over to like, why do you believe that maybe brands are seeing this excitement? I mean, it may sound like the answer is easy, but I think there's a larger story behind this about like, why is there excitement now from brands and retailers? Why are they joining up with Cymbio today?
So I think most of us, when you think of marketplaces, you think Amazon, you think eBay, you think Overstock maybe. And Cymbio is basically focused on all retailers and marketplaces, not necessarily the large and known ones. So we do everything from the Walmart and the Google Shopping. However, we also support Nordstrom, Neiman Marcus, Farfetch, Macy's, Dillard's, Kroger. Anyone you can think of is nowadays either operating a marketplace or a dropship program, and Cymbio supports both. So it's kind of like a one-to-anything connection, which makes sense to everyone because IT resources are very lean, and the ability to connect and maintain integrations is significantly limited, especially at peak seasons. And obviously dealing with all the requirements and needing to comply with each retailer and marketplace needs is a challenge on brands. And with Cymbio, it's basically a quick few minutes connection with Shopify. And from there, we take care of the rest.
Oh, I love it. And so I mentioned Steve Madden. So obviously that's a big brand, tons of retail online in Canada doing their thing and all that. And, you mentioned there's many other Shopify brands who've, selected Cymbio. Like, why do you believe that Shopify specifically, you're saying it's a simple kind of connection and process, but like, is there anything specific you can share as to like why Shopify brands are adopting your platform today?
Well, one, I have to give the credit to Shopify. Shopify is huge and so many brands are on Shopify. That's one. Two, it's part of the fact that Cymbio is agnostic to not just the system on the brand side, which in this case is Shopify, but also on the retailer and merchant side. So just as an example, some of the larger retailers are only supporting EDI, which is not something that Shopify can support. And you need something in the middle. The others are working through FTP, EDI, or whatever protocol, or whatever systems they're using. Cymbio can connect. So again, I think the core here is for a brand to basically take a few minutes and connect with Cymbio. And from there, they can start selling on any marketplace and any retail partner they want to work with. That's the greatest benefit of all. Just making sure this is clear. everything from integration to setup to taxonomy to mapping to inventory to orders to billing, God forbid cancellations, returns. Everything is fully automated through Cymbio. So it's kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'm going to ask those sort of questions because that's one of the first things they always come up. Like someone places an order. I know we're getting into the minutia a little bit, but someone places an order online and they get their order confirmation, and it depends on how quickly the order is being pulled. It's just, there's all some interesting things that can happen. Let's say they buy on one of your partner sites, connected platform, and then all of a sudden they like change their mind. Who are they contacting to make that change? And then how does that reflect back inside Shopify?
So basically each retailer and marketplace have their own processes and flows. Cymbio is just accommodating all of that. In most cases, you place a cancellation or return on the retailer or marketplace which you've purchased from. And from there, Cymbio will grab that, push it back to the Shopify merchant. On Shopify, we'll basically approve the return or cancellation. Or not. It's up to the Shopify merchant. But that's part of the beauty of what we're bringing to Shopify is basically, as a Shopify merchant, you're probably using your Shopify as your main hub, basically. And you don't need to log into Cymbio's platform. You don't need to log into the other platforms. You do everything from within Shopify.
Oh, I see. Well, let's walk through that a little bit because I think that's interesting. So let's say a brand listening today says, yes, I want to expand my reach. Yes, I want to be on as many marketplaces that suit my particular brand. And let's go through a list of different retailers where I believe my product could actually offer value to their network also. And so they checkbox all the ones that they feel they want to be involved with. So what happens from the Shopify side? Like what is a merchant, like what happens when they say yes? What can they expect? The next steps?
So there's a full flow and within Cymbio, basically to onboard. And once you choose the retailers you want to work with and products that you want to give them access to, we will grab all of these and basically map them and what we call transform into each retailer's requirements. Think about all the small details like product information, imagery, think about the title, the prefixes, the suffixes, anything related to the product page and data in general will basically adjust to each retailer and marketplace requirements. From there, it really depends on the retailer and the process for approving or vetting the products and taking them live. But once the products are live, inventory is always synced from between Shopify to Cymbio to the retailers. If there's an order, we'll grab the order and we'll push it back to Shopify. It will be within the Shopify purchase order pages. We just add tags so you can basically see reports and filter by reports to see orders coming from each retailer. But I feel like I'm giving you way too much information for the question, so I'll pause here.
No, I like this. It adds another question brands are going to ask too, is like about organic reach by marketplace or retailer, because I know there's sometimes, give an example. Let's say someone is selling some Nike running shoes as part of their brand and they want to have them available on these marketplaces and retailers. But maybe people are not necessarily searching for the word Nike sneakers. They might be using the word kicks. They might be using other different words to get that organic reach. How do you work around that you want to get the most amount of keyword kind of like share of search and discovery on these marketplaces and retailers? But then on the flip side, maybe the language has to be, the title and descriptions and tags and things are set up maybe differently or similar in Shopify. How do you map those? Or is it just a direct copy of kind of, well, whatever you got going on as your source of truth in Shopify, we're going to map it over accordingly over to the retailer, and then whatever happens over there is a whole separate conversation?
Well, for us at the moment, whatever you have as the source of truth is what we'll pull and push. But you just gave me another great idea.
Okay. Well, see, that's why I'm here. Yeah, no, I just thought it'd be interesting because people might use the word kicks. They might use other kind of synonyms or antonyms or other different words that maybe aren't necessarily need to be in the title of the product. You're not going to call it Nike kicks, but maybe you're going to call it something else when you actually search for it on Google. So yeah, good. I'm glad I was able to help you today. So let's chat a bit about other solutions, because I think if you go to the Shopify App Store or do a Google search, I think you're going to reveal some, I would call them notable peers, but in retrospect, it's probably not the case. But like, how is Cymbio kind of intentionally different maybe than others that are apparently grabbing the Shopify data and then aggregating it out to marketplaces and potentially retailers? And just how are you different?
Yeah. So first of all, Cymbio supports all marketplaces and retailers. Most of our peers, at least to my knowledge, are supporting the classic marketplaces, the Amazon, eBay of the world. That's one. Two, Cymbio actually takes care of the entire solution. Meaning, and I'm sorry to repeat myself, but this is crucial if you're thinking about it from the perspective of a Shopify entrepreneur. Usually not a lot of people on the organization. And even if it's a huge organization like Steve Madden, there's always IT resources scarcity. We actually grab product, imagery. We transform everything. I'll give you a few quick examples. So Nordstrom will require a background color. Let's say it's white, but Macy's require a light gray background color. Now, you need to give each retailer the exact requirements. You need to comply with what they need from you. Think about imagery, think about descriptions, think about titles, think about every small detail needs to be adjusted to each retailer and marketplace. Cymbio does everything automatically, or as someone once told me, automagically.
Okay.
We basically set up your entire catalog on any retailer or marketplace you want to work with. Your inventory is streamlined. You can create buffers and make sure you're allocating inventory in the way that you prefer to do so. We'll support multiple warehouses. So if you're shipping from stores, if you have a 3PL in your own warehouse, you can basically control everything and you don't need to do anything on an operational scale. Everything is fully automated. So that's basically the core value and the core differentiator. To my knowledge, no other company is supporting every system, every marketplace, every protocol, same as we do.
I see. That's excellent, because that's the challenge that I see a lot, because Shopify does have individual apps, let's say, so to speak, or sales channels that can be added on, and they're syncing accordingly. And I guess they're wholly owned by Shopify. But then, I think more of late, there's even been, I think we've delisted lately the Amazon connection, not the FBA side, but just getting your stuff on Amazon. And so I believe there's been a new app that's kind of replaced that recently. But you're suggesting that, hey, no, like kind of a one size fits all, you get access to all marketplaces and all retailers, all from one platforms.
Yep, exactly.
I think that's lovely. We're going to talk about a story now, because I love being inspired. I think those listening today too, I think it's the education and the inspiration from others. We're all entrepreneurs, I believe, and marketers that are listening today. Are you able to maybe share a journey? I know you have a lot of Shopify brands that are connected to your platform, but is there any one particular customer that you can chat about today? Then where were they before Cymbio? And then kind of like, what's the journey through using the platform?
Yeah, for sure. So there's so many stories. And honestly, as you speak, I think I'm going to change the story that I was planning on sharing, because really it's, at least for me, it was one of the peaks here at Cymbio. Okay. It was at around June or July of 2020. We're just at the beginning of the pandemic in the US. And we had a very good partner of ours, a customer of ours, and I did not ask her permission in advance of sharing this. So, Michelle, I love you. I'm sorry. But the brand is Melissa Shoes, and they've been working with us for a while. And it's an established business with wholesale, retail stores, obviously a Shopify website. And with the pandemic, they closed all their stores. Their wholesale was basically down. And we've onboarded, I don't remember the accurate number, so I'll say 40, but it was 40 something. In 1 month, in 30 days, 40 plus retailers and marketplaces for Melissa Shoes, which basically after a month and a half got a call saying, well, you guys saved us from going out of business, which was amazing to hear. And I'm not going to share numbers for them, but I mean, this was significant, not just a lifesaver, but we enable them to stay in business and generate more and keep, I'm assuming, around 40 employees in place. That was a very strong experience and a conversation for us.
Lovely. I mean, it's just fantastic that your platform was available. And I think Shopify has a very similar sentiment. A lot of people maybe during the pandemic were, hey, can you offer us a discount? Our sales are going down. And Toby Harley, we're, CEO and president, we're very firm in saying, just so you know that we believe that Shopify really is the solution solution to a lot of the problems that are going on in the world right now, as far as at least you can create a store, at least you can sell online, at least you can go direct to consumer. I can appreciate the retail component maybe being punted for quite a while just because of the pandemic. But for those retailers that stuck their head in the sand, that wasn't great. But the resilient ones that weren't on Shopify or needed to be, we were there at open arms. And I know that Shopify reaped those benefits, but more importantly, the retailers, really, these merchants and entrepreneurs, they were the ones that really thrive the most. I think it's fantastic that with this story, how quickly you can add on retailers. I'm just thinking about the brands that I manage. I'm, part of the merchant success team in Shopify and have a book of business brands, in the $5 to $200 million range annually. And they're always trying to figure out ways of how they can expand their product mix. And I have some big signature brands that I know are not on these marketplaces or retailers that I know they should be. And so you're probably going to get a few emails after this recording today just to kind of say, hey, can we make some more intros? And I think those listening today too. And I think there's an opportunity here to really help grow and scale your business. Shopify's got your back as far as the platform is concerned. And that scalability side, it's now the next part is how do we scale out into the marketplaces and retailers. So I think this is awesome.
Just adding here, as mentioned, 40 retailers in a month.
Yeah. Absolutely. Start now. Stop this podcast and go to cym.bio. Go to Cymbio right now. So let's talk about the future of your platform. Right now you're connected to everything, all the marketplaces, all the kind of retailers that make sense. Is there a North Star for, I guess, into 22? More partner alignment? And innovation could be the keyword thing I just discussed a minute ago, but where do you see your brand continue to evolve over time? Just kind of the warm and fuzzies about, you do a lot of great things today. Is there a future roadmap?
So there's definitely a roadmap for the future. It's packed.
Okay. That's good. It's good to hear.
Definitely. For us, the main agenda is to create a distributed protocol enabling anyone to connect with anyone and basically enabling commerce, enabling business. This is what we want to do. You're on Shopify. You want to connect to the world. This is what you need to be able to do. It shouldn't be a challenge. You need to be focused on your product, on your marketing, on building your brand, and not on connectivity and how do I do things. This is basically our, as you described it, Northern Star. In addition to that, there's so many things that we're adding to the platform with actionable insights, suggesting to brands and retailers what they need to carry, where they need to sell, what kind of goods they need to sell. But there's so many things, I have to say, but for the next few months, and probably for the next year, the focus is just doing anyone to connect with anyone.
Right. One thing I didn't ask, and before we kind of wrap up the show for today, but one thing I didn't ask is how the relationships with a lot of the marketplace and retailers, I would assume that they each have a relationship with the brand individually as far as the revenue share of both. What does the retailer get? Cymbio gets a very small slice to kind of facilitate the connection. And then there's also the retailer where the transaction is taking place. Are there any kind of general kind of rules of thumb about what people should expect going to these networks and platforms?
So it really is diverse. Some will take a few percentages as commission. Some will take it the dropship area with the large department stores. It's more of a wholesale with some extra points for the seller because of the fact that they're carrying the goods and they're shipping the goods. So giving you just a number is not going to be accurate.
Right. But at the end of the day, you help facilitate these conversations with all of these marketplaces. So they are all compliant. Correct. And it just works.
Correct.
All right, cool. So I guess we're just kind of wrapping up for the show for today, but I just would love if you could share, I guess, some insights or any takeaways. It may sound like you're rehashing it, but I think it's just important, just maybe to summarize, what are you all about and what do you believe the next steps are as it relates to Cymbio?
So we're all about connecting brands with retailers and marketplaces. That's all we do. That's all we care about. We're trying to help brands be out there, building their brand and enabling them to grow their digital sales. This is what we do. This is what we'll continue doing.
Love it. And how can people learn more about your platform? Where can they go and some resources?
So there's our website, which basically has it all. It's cym.bio, cym.bio. I wish I had your voice, Steve, so I could say it.
All right.
like you, but I can. And obviously reach out to us, hi@cym.pio, and we'll be happy to help.
Beautiful. And I know you have a really great blog. You subscribe to it. I think I was chatting with Jolene, one of your team members, and we're considering to syndicate a lot of your content because you're producing some great content on the blog, I think, that relates to growing and scaling brands. And so I want to make sure I cast a wider net of discovery of that content, like on eCommerce Fastlane. I think I'm up to 70 or 80 partners or so far. I'm syndicating content. And so it's kind of a content hub for all things marketing strategy and Shopify ecosystem. So, but yeah, go ahead and subscribe to that blog. I'll make sure I put all of these things in the show notes and stuff like that. So what I'll do is I'll have I guess I'll call it a pretty link, but it'll be ecommercefastlane.com/Cymbio. That'll redirect you to that landing page and be all the offers there of how you can sign up and get connected. I understand there's going to be a Shopify app coming very soon. I understand. Is that kind of in the works?
Yeah, I mean, we do have a private app. We're also adding regular app. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, the benefits, I guess, of a public app too is just adds more discovery publicly. I don't know how many millions of people come to the Shopify App Store in a month, but it's good you have a private app, and so we can get that easily connected with a private API key. And this is great. Well, I just wanted to thank you once again for coming on the show. I just really appreciate it. I was very excited because I have never heard of your platform, literally weeks ago. Been involved in commerce for literally 20 years and 5 in Shopify. Been recommending other different types of tools and things and separate apps, but it's great to see that you've I'm going to call you a little bit of a Swiss Army knife a little bit when it comes to marketplaces, and these retailers. And I just really appreciate you just sharing your knowledge and your vision. And thank you for building this solution. And I guess almost putting your flag in the sand a bit in the Shopify ecosystem. I just really appreciate that.
Amazing. Thank you for having us, Steve. And I will use the Swiss Army knife if you don't mind.
All right. Have yourself a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Today's episode is brought to you by Digital. From email marketing to full omni-channel marketing orchestration, Digital transforms your customer insights into personalized marketing campaigns. Learn more about their incredible solution and get started today at .digital.com. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you, a loyal listener of eCommerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, launch, grow, and scale with Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.